We are back with another with a spoiler talk review for us. And yeah, so if you haven't seen the film, I recommend you go and see it. Obviously, it's a big discussion around the world. It also opened up to 70 million on the weekend. So it was projected that it will come in at 50 or 60 million, but you know, the people went out and watched this film. So yeah, I highly recommend go see it. And yeah, this obviously this will be the safe space, but we'll be explaining the ending, the theories, my theory. So it's going to be interesting what you guys think as well. So without further ado, let's start. I think one of the theories are, I believe that it was about MK Ultra. Now, MK Ultra was a scientific experiment project that was funded by the CIA after the Cold War, and they would do types of hideous experiments on human, like they do sensory deprivation on humans, torture people. What else? They also created LSD as in a means to, you know, succumb people and put them down and not allow them to have a voice of their own. So I think one of the biggest reasons why I think that this film is about MK Ultra is because, you know, in the beginning of the film we see, well, the fake Adelaide, and the real Adelaide, because the one that we're watching gets swapped out, and the one that goes into the surface world is the one that we're following. We think that she's the protagonist and we're rooting for, and she's this hero, but turns out she's one of them, you know, essentially. But I think one of the biggest hints is in the beginning of Us. You see the Hands Across America, which was this charity event in 1986, and on May 25, a huge community of people would come together and link hands for charity, you know, to raise money for schools, colleges, universities, and for the homeless as well. And would you believe that they did do it, but they didn't have as many people as they think, you know. So you had all those people who volunteered to do it, and obviously we see Red, who is the original Adelaide, and her last memory is the Hands Across America commercial. And obviously they do it in a plea of protest for, you know, for the fact that they're protesting because they've never had a voice. So that's one of the main things you can take away there. And obviously when they make their first kill, they replicate the you know, the commercial that they saw. And here's the thing: only the original Adelaide, that is Red, would have known this. And I think that's got a lot of significance in what they wear. They wear all red, and they've got the glove and the gold scissors. So yeah, that's what we see. And another kind of theory that I want to kind of explain with you guys is that I don't think that they were clones. I think they were actually twins. Now, if you were to look at every individual character and you were to look at them, it's like when you look at Gabe, the father, the one that we're following, who's presumably the protagonist, he's got a thin beard, and and then when you see Adelaide, the one that we're following throughout the film, she has her hair in braids, and then when we see Red, her doppelganger, she's got her hair as a fro. But if it's only to me that if they were actually to look identical, purely really identical, then you'd go, yes, there are clones. But in my vision, I think that the government probably, this is just my theory, but the government was probably scared about overpopulation or too many people around, and they had to obviously cut their resources, of people, quite literally. But yeah, no pun intended with the scissors, but yeah, that's what I think. I think that they're actually twins, in my opinion. Obviously, I don't know what that would then mean for the White family, but yeah, that's one of my theories. And here's the thing: this is another thing that I think most people, why it's going over their head, is that Hands Across America was all a plea to make money, to create charity funds. And when you look at the image at the end, and I think it's one of the most powerful images, is that the ending is essentially these people that are doing this out of their free will. Nobody told them, apart from one person who was Red, to do this as a protest. And when they're when they're holding hands, they've not made an amount of money, have they? They've not made anything, it wasn't advertised, they just done it. And I think that's one of the biggest hints as to why this was a government experiment, because why would there be just random people underneath a fun fair? And Jordan Peele talks about, the film, talks about in the beginning how there's all these tunnels and there's a whole network on the whole sewage system underneath America, and they're completely unused, and it just shows that they could have made so much more money. This is my opinion, my theory. They could have made so much more money if those people were still alive. Why would they want that to happen? Because obviously they had money saved up somewhere else for the funding to do the MK Ultra project, and succumb all those people underneath America. That's what I think. Okay, it can be seen as crazy, but that's my thoughts. There's also a hidden twist in this film, and how Jason, he doesn't have the ability to do the magic trick. He can't do it. And then when we see Pluto, who's the doppelganger of Jason, when they go into the closet, he's trying to signal to Jason, do the trick, do the light, and he can't do it. Now, I know this all can be very confusing, but I think that at some point during one of their summer vacations, I believe that Pluto, who's the one with the mask, kind of got like the Gimp mask from Pulp Fiction. He was the original, and then was swapped out with Jason, who I believe Jason, the protagonist, a similar thing with Adler that we're following, that he is actually a tethered himself, because he can't do the trick. He can't. And then we also see that he asked like a lot of questions, like, what does I got 5 on it, or that could all be kind of relate back to pop culture and him being in a different time scale from obviously the people that he's with. But if you really look, draw a line in the sand, you look beyond it. His actions are peculiar. He walks around with that mask all the time. Because one of his, he's got that thing for the mask and he constantly wears it. Maybe that's the tie-in to the tethers that are under the ground, because we know that they all acted crazy, and they were left by their own recall, and they were left to eat rabbits. So now we know why that's why he visualizes himself as quite literally a beast. So that's what I think. Kind of crazy again, but that's another theory. The reason for, let's talk about the rabbits. Rabbits are seen as symbolism, as duality. Rabbits are often known that they can offspring a lot, meaning multiple bunnies, multiple this and multiple that. I mean, if you look in the beginning of the film, you see the bunnies all kind of locked up, and then at the end they all go on to they've all been let loose. Quite literal symbolism of what's been happening in the film and in the cinematography as well. So that was a nice little hint to all the interpretations that were in this film. What else is there? There's like a whole pool of information in us. You can also look at us as social commentary as for the problems that are in society. There's a show on Netflix called Trigger Warning with Killer Mike, and this guy, he's a rapper, and one of the very first episodes in that TV show is he wanted to live black, meaning he wanted to live as a black African American, only using the resources that only come from that community of people. And then the show goes on to show that, Asians are able, this is all done on a demographic of a survey, that Asians are able to hold on to their dollar for about 3 days, and Caucasian white people can hold on to their dollar for 5 days. And then when it gets to black people, the surveys that they could only hold their dollar for 6 hours. And then the whole point of that show was basically how long can they keep on to that dollar, and ultimately what he then realized was that he could only use resources from the black community. So that meant that he couldn't even go to KFC, he couldn't go to McDonald's, because these are all companies that are being run by white men, and ultimately he had to, it's like he couldn't even drive an Audi, he couldn't drive a Mercedes Benz. He had to use all resources that were relaying back to the black community, and obviously he found it hard because there wasn't as many resources out there for him. And how I think this in some degree kind of plays into the social commentary and the society of what us is representing is that Adelaide knows that she is a tethered deep down, because if you look in the cinematography and the way that she perceives things, is that she can only see duality, with a lot of shots. So when there's like in the first act going into the second kind of act of the first act, you can kind of see a spider walking across, and it's underneath a fake spider. And yes, like she only sees that she's a tether, but at the same time, she lives a privileged world. She lives, really a life without any stress but she knows that she's a tether, but she not once did she go back did she go back to the Tethers and help them? It was quite a selfish act. And you can also see that she's maybe selfish in her actions, because at the very end, she doesn't, it's kind of odd in the fact that you got these people going around punching people in the face, stabbing people, all kind of madness. And she takes it upon her own accord to go down into the tunnel, you know, without the help of Gabe or anyone else really, you know. And that just shows that she knew all along that that world existed, you know. And I think that's what Jordan Peele is trying to say, you know. Don't forget, if anything, if all the theories kind of go over your head and you can't really suffice what it all means, then it's almost a thing of, you know, don't forget where you came from. And if you can, give back. That's his his motto, really. I mean, for me, essentially, this has been the first film where I've seen a black film represented just so normal, without any type of stereotypes or cliches, you know. And I think that in itself is an amazing job of what he did. But yeah, that's ultimately what I think. And also there's the scene where they invade the home and Gabe asks the doppelgangers, "What are you?" And it goes, "We are Americans. You know, we are the oppressed. We are the people who don't have a voice." Quite literally, Red doesn't have a voice. That was all part of fake Adelaide strangling her and her losing her vocal cords. So you can look at that as a physical representation, and you can look at it as a fact that there's certain people in society that don't have a voice, and you can almost look at it as symbolism, as themes of how people feel. They feel as if when their voices are not being heard, that they quite literally feel as if they don't have a voice, and that they just feel as if they're quite simply a terror that lives underground. There's so many there. Honestly, he's really created something so different in terms of the horror genre, and I think it's brilliant, you know. But yeah, that is ultimately what I've taken away from the film. But yeah, guys, I would really, really appreciate in the comment section if you tell me what was your interpretation? What did you think was really going on? Because this whole debate on this film is left open to agree and disagree. There is no right or wrong question with this. And that's what I think ultimately, you know, this is what makes us such a great film, because it's not a film that you can just walk away and you can go, "Oh, it was just good," or "It was." I mean, I need to go watch it a second time, because I will know watching it the second time that the person that I'm watching is essentially Red. This is the original person, you know. And great film, you know. So yeah, I also found out the other day that he's doing Jordan Peele calls it a spiritual sequel to Candyman, and Candyman was the first you know, represented black person to play as a horror villain. And I'm gonna love what he's gonna do in that next film. You know, he won't be directing, but I know that he'll be writing and producing it. So he's gonna have a lot of influence on that project as well. But yeah, that concludes this spoiler talk. I would love to see everything you got to say. Yeah, put it in the comment section, all that nice stuff. Like, comment, subscribe if you like this. And yeah, I think the next video I'll do will be on the Umbrella Academy, because I'm 5 episodes into it, and we'll do that as our next video. Again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.